Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news from Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week, we see the revamping of the 300 series and get an update on the Hull C. We hear what's in store when jumping to Hurston, plus a first look into security stations for landing locations. So, calling all devs this week was Todd Pappy's special part 2. First question is quite simple. Basically, it's where's the Hull C? What's going on with it? Now, they say that the art is done for the Hull C. They're just working on tech to allow it to expand along the physics grid. They also need to figure out how the ship will land or dock. Plus, the economy needs to expand a little for it to fit in due to its great size. 3.3 will expand the universe with Hurston, which creates a bit more of a proper transportation route. It's kind of small to be doing such large delivery missions. Next question. With Odyssey to Hurston being 32 million kilometers, as most of the ships don't have enough fuel to make it in one go, how many truck stops will be along the route? Now, they say they've got a test map which shows where Hurston Crusader will be. It will have 8 rest stops along the way so far. This is just an initial guess for what they'd expect will be needed. From there, they will just adjust it when needed and use our feedback as well to help. They've never worked in this scale before, so there's going to be a lot of testing. Capital ships, they say, may be able to just do it in one full length sprint without stopping, but obviously smaller ships, I think, currently could go about 5 million kilometers, and if it is 32 million kilometers, it'll take quite a few stops. So next question, how long will it be until we get a fix for ESP? Now, they have been working on adjustments for ESP 3.2.1, which has now gone live, has many fixes in, but it doesn't sound like it's completed. They will continue to work on it until it's right. They have got multiple people working on the flight model, so fingers crossed it won't take too long. So final question for calling all devs. Will the filtration mechanic mentioned in the prospectus brochure be added to a later patch or when the next tier of mining is released? Now, they're currently focused on improving the current mining tier. After this, it will be asteroid mining, which has been added to the roadmap, I think for 3.3 as well. From there, they will look at what the team needs to work on next. So would it be a new career, refining, maybe filtration? They don't know yet. But they will look at it when they reach each sprint and assess what's best to come next. They're not sure how much R&D it will require for space mining, so they want to get into that as well quite early on. Anyway, that was calling all devs, guys. Let me know your thoughts, specifically about the quantum jumping taking 8 jumps. I would like to know if you feel it's too much, too little, or if there's a good balance between things. So on to Around the Verse. They said that the mission team working on a modular mission design are now refocusing their efforts to work on a scramble race mission found planetside and in space. So you go around collecting checkpoints. It's a weapons-free environment as well, and up to 16 players. This, I believe, is coming in 3.3. This is newly updated on the roadmap. If you haven't seen my roadmap video, I'll link it below in the description. UI completed a wireframe pass on getting the ship and item rentals integrated into Arena Commander and Star Marine. You will buy these using REC, also slated for 3.3. They're updating the derelict setups to object containers, also adding subtle fog and light probes to better sell the shape and form of the interiors. Origin 300 series begun its rework. We can see some early images here. The shape is retained to keep the iconic silhouette, while updating it with the sort of 100 or 600i accents. They've also addressed the cargo issue. I think it looks superb. It's nice and sleek in style, like we see with the 600 series. The cargo is a small 8 standard cargo unit lift underneath, plus the landing gear is now a lot shorter, not on stilts like the old style, so it sits much closer to the ground, as they said before, and you'll be able to just walk straight in without needing to use ladders. Now, they're adding some sound effects to physicalized props. Basically, any prop within the game world which can move or bounce around is a physicalized prop. The audio team are adding a much more rounded audio experience to them. Previously, every item just used the same sounds regardless of its materials, and they want to express the sound of an object and its materials. Now they have very specific sounds. 2 objects within the game. The demo did show 2 types of metal canisters. Each fell down some stairs and created a unique and realistic sound, especially at the end with the roll. The code can detect whether it's sliding, rolling, or bouncing, and adjust accordingly. This, I feel, will add subtleties to the game, like in stealth, for example. If you're trying to sneak around someone's ship and you accidentally knock over something like a canister, that tense moment of wondering if someone's heard it would be very cool. But also, imagine being the crew on board and hearing something like that in the background, wondering what the hell it is and having to send someone down to go and check it out. Persistent Universe delivery lockers are being fleshed out. These lockers will be in places where players can pick up or drop off items for delivery missions instead of having to speak to those rude office clerks. We saw some concept renders for the look and the feel of the Hurston transit system. These specifically show off areas of Lorville's dingiest train platforms, and I cannot wait to be testing out that service. Hurston's security station are now in white box stage. Now these security checkpoints will come in handy when they move away from the current armistice zones seen in game and go to a more nuanced system. Currently they're working on the high security version. This is needed for Lorville, very similar to airport security checks. They will come in different sizes, different security levels depending on the local laws. Each location will have a list of items that are illegal to each landing location, and then as the player passes through the scanner, it will detect whether they are carrying something they shouldn't. If they are, then they will be stopped and asked to give it up. You can comply, obviously, and hand it over, or you can resist and face the consequences. Now, he did say that skilled players may be able to circumvent security and smuggle something in, so smugglers might get a higher premium. So finally, the utilitarian Lorville habitation rooms have gone into white box stage. They're setting out the layout into a 3D space, just establishing the correct forms and proportions, making them usable for AI and workable for modularity. These, I think, are looking fantastic, and I feel like they may be getting them ready for 3.3. They're coming along very quick, so we will see. Also, on a side note, they do have a pissing animation by the looks of things, so toilets will soon be functional. Fingers crossed. Anyway, that was Around the Verse, guys. Let's move on. So for this week's Reverse the Verse, Jared was sitting down and playing Star Citizen with the lore team while they answered questions from the chat. The first question was, does the lore team work on mission content? And they say yes, they work very closely, each complementing each other. Currently, we have just the basic sort of generic missions. They are enabling more functionality for procedurally generated missions, adding loads more locations, and they need to update the toolset to dynamically integrate these missions. Eventually, the economy will also drive many of the missions themselves. So, for example, factories producing items in real time needing materials brought to them. Next question is, do they consider the tech limitations when developing lore? And they said yes, they're developing things which must adhere to the current standards, but now that the gameplay is getting locked in, they can start developing things more confidently, knowing that it's going to work. Next question is, what's the oldest alien species? And kind of a difficult one to answer. They say that the Zhaan, we have a known timeline as they keep records for themselves. As humans, we don't know much about the Banu, and they also don't regard history as important, so they don't keep records. Plus, we don't know anything too much about the Vandal as we don't communicate with them. Now, in-house, I'm sure they have more information on each of these races that can be discovered over time by completing missions or, released into the Galactopedia. But currently, we don't know that much, and they don't want to ruin it for us when the time comes to going out and finding them. Next question is, will there be any in-game news or Spectrum channels to watch while travelling? Now, Chris Roberts has said this a long time ago that he does want this as a goal later down the line. Nothing to show now, but it is still being talked about quite regularly, and they do have some good ideas relating to it. But obviously we have the Reliant Mako, so an in-fiction news channel made by players as well as the game masters would also work well. Next question, will missions have multi-part aspects? And they say yes, they do want multi-branching parts. They kind of see them as mission complications. So instead of just going and getting a package and returning it, maybe you get there, someone else has taken it in AI and you have to go and chase them down. That's a very simple example. Just making these missions not go as planned, or, sometimes they will work just fine, but other times a complication will come in and you'll have to work around it. Next question, is there lore to explain why we can't hear sound in space? And yes, there is. They released this a little while ago. The ships and helmets computers generate the sound for kind of like an extra sensory awareness, kind of better situational awareness. They have spoken about the possibility that when your ship's computer starts breaking down or you get EMP'd, you would lose the audio temporarily, which will help sell the fiction that the computer is creating the sounds. And I quite like that idea. They didn't want to go completely true to life because it's that balance between fun and realism. It would just be a bit boring if there were no sounds. Final question, will there be NPCs in the Ark to explain the lore? So the Ark is a hub where all the information is kept within the verse, and you can go and visit that and sell the information to them if you discover some stuff, or just go and find out some more about the lore of the verse. Now, they said it would be a possibility, but they would have to see what happens when they begin to shape it out. It would be very cool if they actually scanned all the lore team's faces and got the audio or their voice to explain the lore and have them as the people on the Ark. I think that would be a very cool feature. Anyway, that was Reverse to Verse, guys. Fun to see them having some fun in the game, playing the game and just messing around. It's a nice break from the seriousness. But let me know your thoughts and let's move on. Also this week, The Knowledge of Good and Evil Part 3 is available. Plus, the latest Jump Point is out for the subscribers. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share the video with all your friends. If you like what I do and want to help me make it better, follow the link below to my Patreon page to learn more.